Hey, my name is Jeff Bruns.
And I'm Mary Bruns, and we want to welcome you back to the Evangelism Toolkit blog. Thanks for being here. So last week we were sharing our story with you about how we started becoming very convicted about and interested in evangelism. And this week we wanted to share with you a few of the most important changes and then a couple of our stories. So Jeff, do you want to start by telling people the most fundamental ways that having evangelism training has changed your life?
Sure. Two things. One is that just really studying the gospel to be able to really faithfully communicate it to another person has really made me to really dive deep into really what the gospel means and its implications for me and for other people. And so it's just really given me a deeper appreciation for what God has really done for us and how He's really saved us. Mm-hmm. And that just has really kind of fortified me in life and my walk and stuff. And the second thing is not that I do it perfectly every time and not that I'm still scared or maybe sometimes I don't do it like I should, but I do feel now that I have the confidence and the know-how to be able to have a gospel conversation with somebody in most situations now. Mm-hmm. And so when I have the Spirit lead me or just when the opportunity presents itself, I feel that I'm able to initiate and start and kind of know how to follow through and talk to somebody about the gospel.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, I would say for me, I've gotten to really be able to speak the whole truth of the gospel to some very important people in my life, people that I had tried to share the good news with many times before, but I'd always just do it in kind of little bits and pieces, and then after really diving in, God enabled me to have really full, deep, important conversations. Yeah. I'd also say that the other thing that's really changed in my life is I usually carry tracts with me pretty much wherever I go. If I don't have any, I'm kind of mad at myself. But I try to give out tracts when I'm out. I try to give them to salespeople. I try to give them, somebody came to the door today, wanted to talk to you, and had a little conversation with her. And it's just kind of made me more aware that I'm on mission all the time. So why don't we tell people about just a few of our favorite stories, things that have happened. Maybe we can change people's names to give them privacy.
And just this idea of wherever you are, just being ready and able to share the gospel. I know when our one son was a lot younger, we would be at playgrounds a lot. And there would be other people at playgrounds with their young children. And we got to give a tract to this gentleman that was there. And turns out we've had several conversations with him since that time. And he's now, he's moved on to another town, but he said that he's kind of changed his life and he's turned some part of his life around. And I think he's married now and he's going to church. And so just meeting us that time really just impacted his life for the better. Just recently, I was downtown speaking with people, and when I explained the gospel to somebody, they're like their eyes opened up, and they were like, "Whoa, okay." Mm-hmm. It really seemed to strike a chord with them, and praying for that man that he was able to repent and change his life too. But he really got it. He really saw it. Mm-hmm. So those are just two things that stick out.
Yeah. Tell me about the homeless lady that we talked to.
Yeah, so years and years ago, we were down at the harbor and we talked to a homeless lady, and it's kind of embarrassing, but I don't really even remember the conversation or talking with her that much. And then a couple years ago, we get a phone message on my phone, and it just said, "Hi, this is so-and-so, and I'm just calling to let you know that after talking with you and your wife, then I moved down to with my sister down south, and it's totally changed my life. I've turned my life around. I'm not homeless anymore." And it's just that she might have called it a chance encounter, but we know it wasn't a chance encounter. We know that the Lord was there, had us right there to be able to tell her about God.
Yeah. For me, there's been a lot of, we're just trying to plant seeds. So we're really sometimes you talk to somebody and they've never heard anything about the gospel. Other times you talk to people who have heard some things. I was at the library and I met this man and just kind of happened to, be walking out of the library and asking him about himself. And he had just moved here up from South Carolina. And I asked him if he had a good church, and he said no. And then he proceeded to tell me about this experience that he actually almost died.
Yeah.
And he said before that I was an atheist, but now I'm not. And was able to preach the gospel to him, gave him some things to read, gave him my phone number, and then he didn't call. And then a couple weeks later, we literally almost bumped into each other, walking, right at the library, right at the same doors. And we both were just like, wow, this is amazing. So he ended up coming to church with us. We're still in touch and really praying for God to really move in this friend's life. What was another story I wanted to share? Okay. So anyway, we've had probably hundreds of conversations over the years, and we're very thankful. We're hoping that we get to see a lot of these people in heaven one day. The last thing I wanted to share, a friend of ours from church, Miss Deanna, was suggesting that we could use the awful situation that's happening in Ukraine to start conversations with people. I know that we've often used current events, and especially when there are things as frightening as a war going on, to initiate gospel conversations with someone. You could say, how are you feeling about this situation? And then you could branch into asking someone, what do you think happens after a person dies? And then you can continue from there. We are going to do a lot more training on how to move from an opener in a conversation to actually getting into the gospel. But I did want to say that you can always just say to a person, well, may I tell you what I believe happens, or may I tell you what God says happens? And that's a great place to give them a gospel message. And we are going to, in the upcoming weeks, we're going to be practicing how to actually communicate the gospel to someone. So please come back and join us. And I hope that you are able to do the challenge this week to listen to True and False Conversion. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Grace and peace.
Grace and peace.